think I don't want to bang on about England and championships and things like that, but we talk about a lot about, you touched upon it there, it's Modric or whoever it might be, they're comfortable, they want the ball in any position, and it's technically they're good enough to receive it and they've got a picture, but Des Walker used to talk about it. He used to say, you got moral courage, you got that bravery to get on it and want it all the time. And I know that you did that, and I'm absolutely, you did that all the time as well. But it's very hard, isn't it, or it appears to be very hard to instill that into somebody if they don't have it. Because if it was easy to coach into players, then we'd have more players who could do it. Because at the minute, we've got great players, we've got some really great players, but not all of them are always comfortable and wanting and demanding the ball wherever it is on the pitch.
I agree with you, Fenners, and it's something I've been saying, because I covered England, didn't I, for the last 3.5 years for Channel 4. So I watched every England game, your jobs have to break it down. And I said, we'll do well at this tournament. I said, but there's going to come a point in the game where it's not going to be a structured thing. It's going to be that. It's going to be the courage to get on the ball. And we have got the players who've got the courage, because I've seen them do it every week.
Yes.
Like I'm talking about Foden for Man City, the way he plays, right? But it's got to be a culture set by the manager. So what I mean by that is, right, say you're England, you're right, we got 12 games to the tournament and they're spaced out over 18 months, right? Lee Carsey, for instance. It's got to be, every message has got to be allowing the players freedom to do that. And there'll be, in them 12 games leading up to the tournament, there'll be moments where it goes wrong. You know what I mean? And, and then you've got to make sure you and all your staff around that, and the messages, don't worry about that. But you really got to believe it, because players, I've had managers go, don't worry about losing the ball. Yeah. Don't worry about losing the ball. Don't worry about losing the ball. I've lost the ball after 20 minutes. They're up at the front waving their hands, and you're like, you don't really believe that. Yeah. But you got to believe it, and everyone around you's got to believe it and set the tone. And then you get to a quarter final of a World Cup or something, and you got to handle the ball, and the pressure's on, and the lads know the pressure's on, but they got the belief that their manager, and you got to have this like swagger about you, where you like you belong at this level. Like we see Don Carlo. Yeah. He had that. He was like, just calm. You got to go the other way. You got to be calm, and when
players have got to see that in you.
Yeah, listen, it doesn't mean you're soft with the players. No. It means that you're like, if a player don't press after they lose the ball, or you see any signs of like feeling sorry for themselves, get on them, because that can be that is something that is just there. Yeah. But what England have gone missing, in my experience under Gareth, and I love Gareth, I played with him, and I think he's done an amazing job. But if we're going to get to that next level, it's not going to be done by patterns of play, moving things. When I don't know, when Kyle Walker goes in and Phil Foden goes in and goes in, the game ain't like that after 65 minutes in the Euros final. The game ain't like that, and that's ultimately, I think, what let us down against the Spanish. It was because there were signs that listen, the lads done great. Yeah, we should be proud of them. Absolutely. They've done great, but if what we all want is to lift that trophy, and it has to come from a manager who goes with that. Do you know what I mean? And Gareth, even though he was saying it, probably the players would have picked up on it, because he's a defender, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, and I would never criticise. I think he's been the perfect manager and if the next manager wins a tournament, he should stand up there, and first thing he should say, I want to thank Gareth Southgate and his staff for what they've done to change his front. I'm just the one who's put the torch
foundation.
Do you know what I mean?
In place,
change the culture. But what you're just saying is we need to just have that next step into acquiring that culture on the pitch, where like coming and getting it, receiving it, wherever it is the norm. It's the norm rather than the exception. Because if you look at Premier League football, you've got how many games?
38 games.
You've got 38 games. So there's obviously high pressure, but it's not a knockout. So you got 38 games there to kind of develop that style of play and do those things and be brave, and it is a different thing. And so what do I know? You see the and we talk about it. It's pressure, and when pressure comes on, it's like you revert to maybe just doing the stuff that's Well,
I
just do that.
I do think that style of play, with the managers that love that style of play in their teams, I think, don't get me wrong, it's a bit of a weird answer I'm going to give you, because it's all result based. I think their style of play sometimes comes before their result based.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? I've seen some of them come off 1-1, but they're buzzing with what they've just seen, and they're like, I love this. Like, and the style, what I had it with Leverhead. I know it's only Leverhead, but there's a little bit. I said to the chairman, I can't guarantee you wins, but I can guarantee you a style, the way we played. And I used to come off, all right, we lost 3-1. I'm like, what I see really excited me, Joe. Do you think there's a little bit of that where we've got to go, it ain't always it's a shit question, really.
No,
it's always going to be about results. It is.
Yeah.
But is there a little bit there? We've got to own the style a bit more.
We've got to be, and I speak to Ash, who's working with Lee Carsley and that, and what they've done with the 21s, and I think that they're going to be good, because they're more this. We want to be this brand of football, which is going to be England. Do you know what I mean? And be the new version of England. And I go back to the Argentina winning the World Cup, right? And you think, I don't think they were the best team in the tournament. I followed it. I was out there. The French were better than them, but what they had was a manager. I think he understood it. Like, and in certain, remember the Holland game where they looked like, you know, in games where it flips from one to, when it come back to 2-2, and you think, and then you think at that moment, you think of the history of Argentina and Messi. You think of all the times they nearly got over the line, and him as well. So much pressure on his shoulders, and then sometimes it's like that the Dutch were really putting it on them, and it was, you know, there was a bit of spike. I remember as a midfield, I think it was De Paul went and smashed the ball into the Dutch bench, and all the Argentinians run over, and they made it up because they were losing the game. Yeah. And they needed something to the momentum
Shift
to stop. Sometimes it's a tackle and a moment, and all the bench are over there like, don't worry about getting a ban from FIFA at the end of the tournament. Give you a slap on the wrist. We're going out the World Cup. Yeah, it's about bang. That. And Messi was, and you see Messi grow, and they look like a band of brothers. They'd already won the game, let the Dutch back in, then they won it again, and then they did the same in the final, and that comes from know-how, a togetherness, and a belief in each other, and that's got to come from the manager. You to win a World Cup or win a tournament, you need a little bit of the street football as well, and a little bit of nothing goes to plan ever in football. You need, in moments like that, I bet you if you said to De Paul, why did you do that, he wouldn't know, but it was the right thing to do. I'm not advocating smashing the ball into the opposition benches for kids, but
I know what you mean.
At the top level,
shifting momentum, shifting momentum.
We used to say in our day, someone clamped someone.
Go and
you know
put
what
it
I mean?
Because
it just would do something.
No, you're dead right.